All right, we're excited to be learning more about Grailed on the show today, one of the platforms that List Perfectly supports. We're going to get into everything about Grailed and more with our guest from Grailed, Sarah Thompson. Welcome, Sarah. Thanks for coming on the show and joining Claire and me today.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me, Doug and Claire. I'm so excited to be here.
All right. Well, we're excited to have you, and we get a lot of questions about Grailed. People want to learn more, so let's get started. So, Sarah, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do at Grailed.
Cool. So I'm Sarah. I am the Associate Director of Business Development with Grailed. I started about 6 months ago, so I'm still pretty fresh at the company. But prior to Grailed, I worked for The Real for 7 years, and I led the Southwest sales team there. So I have quite a bit of experience in the secondary market with a big focus on luxury, handbags, jewelry, all of that fun and shiny stuff that we love to see come across marketplaces.
Awesome.
Amazing. That's incredible. But if let's have our audience that maybe they haven't heard yet of Grail. What is Grail, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So Grailed is a peer-to-peer marketplace. So sellers come from all around the world to come and list their items on Grailed. We were notoriously a menswear platform up until about 2 weeks ago, and we officially launched our women's wear on the site, which is so exciting. Our sellers really came out to support us for that, and we just hit 250,000 listings of women's wear on the platform yesterday. So
Awesome.
we have some really amazing inventory on the platform, and we're super excited about it.
That's amazing.
Okay, wait, congratulations about that. 250,000 of listings. Wait a second, okay? That's incredible. Congrats, Sarah. That's big numbers, and that shows, okay, that Grail moving to the right direction.
So, Sarah, to you, what makes Grail different from other marketplaces out there?
A few things. So what is, I think, a huge value for us is that we have really competitive fees. So our take rate is 9%, which is incredibly competitive. It's lower than a lot of other women's wear centric marketplaces. We come under the gun under Depop and Poshmark, and all of those places. And in addition to that, we do have what we call digital authentication. I know that we'll get into that a little bit more later, but it really does provide peace of mind for both the seller and the buyer. In addition to that, our average selling price is over $100, which is hard to come by on unmanaged or peer-to-peer marketplaces. So we've really done a lot to ensure the trust of our buyer and our sellers so that they are able to sell those higher priced, harder to find items on Grailed.
Wow.
So pretty much, Daggy, Grail is like, okay,
Yeah,
I gotta do it, okay? Ooh, I think I got to sell in Grail, okay?
Already.
What can you sell and what can you not sell in Grail, please?
Yes, Clara. So we focus a lot on fashion. So apparel, shoes, accessories, handbags, leather goods, all of that good stuff. We have been known for finding what we call our grails, so our hard to find items that you might not be able to find anywhere else. And the only things that we stay away from right now, but that doesn't mean we won't in the future, are luxury watches. As you know, for authentication, you have to take the back off of a watch, and doing that digitally is, well, impossible. So we do stay away from watches at the moment, as well as some other items that are harder to authenticate digitally, trading cards, things like that.
Okay.
But otherwise, if it has a designer name attached to it or a brand, sometimes we see some fun things like Supreme chopsticks, or we currently have a Chanel basketball on the site. So really fun, interesting things for sure.
Wow.
That's very unique indeed.
Yeah, super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the ideal Grailed seller? Who should be selling on Grailed?
Everybody should come and sell on Grailed. We put the seller at the forefront of all that we do. So, I think a seller might be listening to the podcast and they might think, "Oh, I don't have a Chanel basketball." Well, not many people do. So,
Yeah.
we call it the mix of high and low. So, if you ever were to look on our sold feed, you would see not only the high value items that are what we call our grails, but also things that we call our basics. So there are Levi's or or even Gap or
Okay.
Lululemon has been popular since we launched women's, things
Yeah.
like that. So we do like to mix high and low, just as you do when you go shopping and the things that are in your closet.
What about maybe a more average brand like Adidas or Nike? What is
Mhm.
the posture of a Grail about it, please?
Nike is one of our top selling brands. And so, yes, so and of course, Jordan's, which is, I think, like more of a streetwear centric brand, but Nike is a huge seller for us. And then we do have I think our biggest women's wear brands that are in demand right now, again, are a mix of high and low. So we cannot keep Telfar in stock. I would think that's probably the same for any marketplace. Golden
Yeah.
Goose is incredibly popular. Any premium denim, so a Goldie, Redone, and Mother, but then also Birkenstock has been flying off of our virtual shelves. New Balance, Nike, Levi's, the North Face, and then of course we do love luxury, so Prada, Dior, of course. That who doesn't? But the everyday brands we still sell very well.
So, question. There is a miscellaneous category on Grailed. If I want to do like maybe home accessories, is that possible?
Yeah, so typically any home accessory is going to be something that sells best with a designer attached, to be honest. So we do a lot of Hermes teacups or Hermes plates. The Tiffany Sterling does quite well. So as much as we do love to mix the basics with the designer for our apparel and fashion oriented brands, the miscellaneous category does very well with anything with a designer attached to it, an Hermes blanket or pillow. Like I said earlier, the Supreme chopsticks or the Supreme, they have so many different things. They have like a Supreme cash gun, which is hysterical. Which we have sold before. So yeah, so the miscellaneous brand, the miscellaneous category is kind of our niche where a seller would do very well if they did have branded home items.
And that makes sense when you recommended about the brands because it goes into a miscellaneous category.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't have that catchy brand, it might get lost, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Now,
That makes
is it
sense.
true? Is it true that the Supreme chopsticks do a better job at picking up sushi and the Supreme gun shoots cash better than other cash guns?
Well, I would say that the cash gun probably does shoot cash farther, but the chopsticks, not personally tried them, so I would not be
All
able
right.
to. I wouldn't be able to comment on the efficiency of the chopsticks.
Good to know. Good to know.
Now, Sarah, let's get really real with the breaking news. Okay, to our audience, this is big. Grail, you asked for it, and Grail delivers. We have now women's wear in Grail. Tell us how important that is.
Oh my gosh, it's the biggest thing we've done since launch. So we are so excited about this. It is something that has been a discussion since for most of the year. We used to have a sister site called Heroin, and we officially did sunset that last year. We really came, what made the most sense for us is for us to have it all on one platform. So a buyer could shop menswear or women's wear, whatever they were interested in looking at was right there on Grail for them. So we're so excited about it. And if you live in New York or Los Angeles, you are going to start seeing billboards with our new women's wear launch. And you'll see, yes, it's so exciting. There might be downtown Los Angeles. We'll have like a huge like block takeover. So if you live in a major city, please go check it out. There are a lot of really fun things to see alongside our women's wear launch. We were also featured in Vogue last week to celebrate the launch of it. And you can find it on their Vogue business website to talk more details and a few quotes from our CEO.
Okay, now Grail is super famous, Doug. Okay, I'm glad that we still. Okay, so I guess next time we do a podcast, there is gonna be like a line. We're gonna be with other events.
Outside, we'll be signing autographs. So
yeah, we had to get Sarah in while we could, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations on that mention on Vogue. That's big. That's huge. That's incredible.
Yeah.
yeah, it's all super cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so we touched on brands a little bit, but let's dial into the women's wear brand. What women's wear brands can be sold on Grailed?
Yeah, so I think that like one of the most important things that we wanted to drive home when we launched women's wear was that we had what was available to women in the natural way that they would shop their closet, right? So, you could pair a vintage t-shirt with premium denim and a designer bag, or you could pair Levi's with a designer top and Birkenstocks. This is women naturally mix this like high and low in their closet. I can tell you right now, I have designer jeans on, but I'm wearing Birkenstocks. That is a natural way that women shop, and so we wanted to make sure that when our women's wear shoppers came to the platform, that they could shop for everything for their closet, not just particular things that they would have to kind of pick out here and there. So the brands that sell really well for us right now are, of course, our marquee brands are Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes, Dior, Prada, Balenciaga, all of that shiny, exciting luxury. And then kind of our next subset of brands that sell really well is kind of our mid tiers. So we do a lot of contemporary. So we have Ganni and Zimmerman and Marc Jacobs, those kinds of things. And then we have our more everyday brands that I think a lot of resellers would probably have this readily available to come and cross post over to Grailed from List Perfectly. So we have our, your Levi's, your Nike and New Balance, Adidas. Lululemon leggings is something that we're doing really well with. Like I said, other footwear too. A lot of accessories are doing really well. So yes, so jewelry, even of course the like fancier costume jewelry from Dior and Givenchy, things like that, but also Kendra Scott jewelry, kind of that mid-tier line.
Okay.
Is doing really well. Yeah. So again, like a total mix. And so I think that one of the biggest things for us is that Grailed is for everybody. It's not just for sellers or buyers that are only looking to come on the platform and spend, $2,500. Somebody could come and get a really cool vintage t-shirt for $30 and be really excited about their find. So
Right. Now, you did mention, I don't know if you gave us a little teaser, but you did mention that when I search for something, a specific brand, Grail will have a system in which you can pair or match, okay, and make suggestions maybe based on what I'm searching. I'm wondering, how is the woman's category in Grail different from the men's wear, please?
So it's going to be similar in that we have really great tools on our site for a browser, so they can set up preferences on the platform. So if they have a designer or a brand that they're excited about, they can follow it, so that any time a new item from that brand comes up, they can follow it. They can also follow sellers, which is fantastic. So anytime if they have a seller that they've really enjoyed working with, they can hit the follow button, and then it comes up right at the top of their shopping feed. So they can personalize their feed just as much as they want. And we do that for men's, and we also do that for women's. But I think that the difference between men's and women's is that our men's branding, I think is we do a lot of streetwear with men's. That's how we started. That's what we're known for. And we do have really fun, cool streetwear for women as well. But we do have, we really are focusing on kind of that mid-tier contemporary that is more, I think, available and easier to find, and more and very wearable for the modern day secondhand shopper.
Interesting. All right. And no offense, but many of those women's wear brands you've mentioned, I've never heard of. So
Well, Doug, what can come and educate you?
that's true. So we've talked a lot about sellers. So on the other side are the buyers. So what buyer protections does Grailed offer?
Yeah, so we do full buyer protection. So we do it two ways. So we have Grailed payments, which I know that we'll get into in a little bit, where Grailed our team does offer the full Grailed protection. You would work with a Grailed representative essentially if you were to get an item that you felt was not as described, or if you never received it, things like that. The unfortunate things that don't happen very often, but we want to protect them when they do. And for if it's a PayPal purchase, we do you work with the PayPal team with utilizing their protection. I think one of the great things about buyer and seller protection that we have at Grailed is that we have a live customer service team.
Wow.
Our CX team, we do not use any sort of automation, no chatbots, no anything like that. Anytime you open a ticket or send an email or put a chat into on the Grailed website, you are going to talk to a real live human being, which is great. It's not as common as it used to be. So,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Beautiful audience. Are you hearing this? Yes, heard it right. Okay. There is a real person, not a canned answer, not a thank you for sharing your concern with us. We'll be right back. Your message is very important to us. Please continue to hold. So that's just incredible. Sarah, what a uniqueness nowadays where everybody's trying to manage everything with artificial intelligence. And here comes Grailed saying, no, we're going to be more in touch, okay, with our customers and our whoever is, whether it's a seller or a buyer, right? And provide that live, like you said, live customer care. Kudos. Wow. Congratulations. That's something that List Perfectly also does. So we share that. I have to say it's a great investment from my perspective. As a person, as a CEO in e-commerce, I can say that's a great investment. It just blows my mind that not more companies are doing it.
Yeah. And I think one of the other, to talk about our support team from the seller perspective is that we also have for our high volume sellers, so our full-time resellers, we have a premium support team where it's a team of specialists that specialize in working with our top tier sellers, which is great. And so if essentially like right now it's all established sellers that utilize it. But if you are new to Grailed and you come over from List Perfectly and you start having a high volume of sales, then that's something that you would have access to as well, which is really exciting.
100% super exciting. Now, how the authenticity checks work on Grailed, please?
Yeah, so our authentication is essentially like a full end-to-end approach. So we do assess every listing before it hits the feed. So what is kind of like, I think like our perfect sauce in the way that we protect our buyers and our sellers with our authentication checks is we use a combination of a human, again, so we are real live authenticators, and our machine moderation. So our human moderators are really the driving force behind our digital authentication. We review all risky listings before they hit the feed. And you might be thinking, what's a risky listing? Well, it's a few different things. It is how susceptible the brand or style is to being replicated, how a listing is priced in comparison to its value. So if something is really, really underpriced or really, really overpriced, that might be a little bit more risky. Our data shows that our digital authentication is comparable to physical authentication. But the reason why we think that digital is so important is because it saves money. So we are able to have this great 9% fee because we aren't shipping these high risk or high value items to anywhere else to have them viewed again and authenticated in person. So it saves the buyer and the seller fees. And it also is more sustainable to the planet that we're not using extra packages. And it's a faster payout for the buyer or for the seller. And then also you get your item faster as the buyer, which I think is like a huge, if you're buying from other platforms, it could go somewhere else before it comes to you. And then you could have to wait a while before you get it. And we also have on the platform, a user at any time, if they see something that doesn't seem right to them, they could always submit it into our authentication team for a second review.
You touched on this a little bit back, Grailed payments. So tell us how Grailed payments work.
Okay. So Grailed Payments is our new payment processing platform. So we do partner with Stripe, which is fantastic. And it provides a secure way for users to come and pay with a debit card, Apple Payments, credit card, kind of whatever they want, their choice. As it stands right now, if a buyer, would come and not want to utilize PayPal for whatever reason, they could use Apple Pay or whatever their choice is. And so the way it works for the seller is as soon as the seller adds a tracking number to our interface, it automatically disperses from Stripe and it comes via ACH deposit into their bank account, which is
Nice.
yes. So the seller does not have to wait until the buyer receives the item. It's when the tracking is added.
Wow, that's big.
Nice.
Really big, yeah. So a seller is paid much quicker than they would be if the buyer had to receive and accept the order. They do just need to ship it within 7 days of the order completing.
Wow, Doug, speak about expediting the reselling process, right?
Yeah, I do like that. It sounds good.
Mhm.
Getting paid quicker is always nicer.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, what tips do you have for success on Grail, please?
Yeah, so we have a lot of great selling tools that a seller really should adapt when they come over and sell on Grailed. And a few of those are they can bump their listing every 7 days, so the item goes to the top of the feed, which is fantastic. And so that's a big one. We do have offers enabled. I would highly encourage anyone that's going to come list to have their offers turned on. That is one of the biggest ways to start getting sales quickly on Grailed is by accepting offers. And at least we'll start a great conversation with a potential buyer. So it's those, and then also really clear, concise, great photos. I think that kind of goes without saying for multiple platforms for resellers. If there is something that has a serial number, make sure you have a very clear picture of that. It will make its way through the authentication queue very quickly if you have everything that you need already ready to go for our authentication team to get that through the queue.
Yeah.
And then, of course, just standard etiquette for any platform, add a profile picture, update your bio, all of that good stuff. People love to buy from other humans, and that's why buyers come and buy from marketplaces, is they get to have this really fun e-commerce peer-to-peer experience. And so the more that you, I think, humanize your account, right, the more likely you are to get new buyers coming over to see what you have for sale.
Absolutely. Spot on. That shows that you understand your audience very well, because it's small businesses. And when you're a buyer, you want to know where you're buying from. It's not about the brand, it's who you're buying from. So well done. And then providing automation tools for for reducing prices and then sending those notifications. That's big. All we have to do is enroll and then you set a floor. That's incredible, Sarah. Well done. I'm very excited. That's big. I really, when you said that, I was like, wow, I wish I would have had those tools back in the day.
Totally. And we also do seller initiated offers. So you can send an offer out. I know that some other marketplaces would do something similar where if you have likes on an item, right? If you have a handbag that has 15 likes, you can send an offer out to everybody that's liked your item.
Nice.
So we've talked about a lot of, the seller side of things again. How important is the seller community to Grailed? It's huge for List Perfectly. Sellers love their community. How important is it to Grailed?
Oh my gosh, we put the Grailed community at the heart of everything that we do. Every decision that we make, we think of our users, both buyer and seller. I can speak for my team in that we are essentially seller advocates. So we are responsible for bringing new business onto the platform, but then we are responsible and perhaps most passionate about ensuring the success of the sellers once they make it over to us. And so one of the other things that is really special about Grailed is that a seller has access to myself and to my team. So if we love to provide some tips and tricks on how to like help you be successful. We've done reviews of people's accounts before by request of them, and so we can give them tips on how to improve, how to sell more. Perhaps their pricing looked a little high. We can help them come up with better pricing, reminding them to bump and to price drop and all of that good stuff that makes a Grailed seller so successful. And so, and we're constantly, iterating on the tools and the things that we can provide to our sellers to ensure their success too, which is great. We have whole teams that are working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the success of our sellers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the term seller advocates. That's great to hear.
Now, how does Grailed engage with sellers?
Mm-hmm. A few different ways. So we do have some great marketing emails that go out that we, myself and my team, work in conjunction with our marketing department. And it could be some tips and tricks. It could be what's in demand. So a seller could be receiving a marketing email where it talks about what is in high demand from our buyers this month. And so if it's a professional reseller, they might kind of be on the lookout for that as they're sourcing their product. So we do that. Myself and my team, we do individualized outreach based off of exciting things that we have coming up. So which we can talk about this in a little bit, but our busiest time of the year is coming up. And so we have some exciting things for our sellers.
So surely there are some misconceptions out there about Grailed. What are some of these misconceptions that you would like to clear up?
So, I think that Grailed is not just for streetwear. It's not just for luxury. Grailed really, truly is for everyone. And I think that, that's something that a seller could think, oh my gosh, I don't have a Chanel bag to sell, or oh my gosh, I don't have the newest Air Jordans to sell. And that is okay. And we encourage a healthy mix of product. We encourage sellers from all over the world to come and sell what they have and what they are excited about and what is selling well for them. And so I think that might be really the only misconception is that, a seller might think that their items aren't valuable enough, but we disagree.
Guilty. I thought you were like maybe American, Europe, and when you just said worldwide, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means that if I'm from Argentina, let's say I'm in Argentina, I can list something on Grailed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just made a purchase 2 days ago, a real cute little jacket, and it's being shipped to me from the Ukraine. So
wow.
And it does say, the nice thing is so that a buyer or a user can be fully prepared. It does say where your item is coming from. So if you have an event in a couple of days and you found something, but it's clear across the world, you can plan accordingly and adjust your wardrobe choices based off of where you're ordering your item from. So it does tell you where it's shipping from, which is great.
There you go.
That is incredible. Now, what about if I'm a seller and I can sell worldwide, right? Without restrictions?
You can sell worldwide without restrictions. Now, I know some sellers choose to ship only domestically, that's also fine. So in their settings on their page, they can choose what countries they do ship to and don't ship to. So
that was going to be my question. Can I select, for example, certain countries that I might not want to ship to?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I think that sometimes international shipping can be difficult if you use USPS. We all have had crazy stories of trying to get an item out of the country, which can be difficult. So we always suggest trying perhaps DHL if you're going to ship international. But realistically, the way where your item goes is up to you. So if you would like to keep it domestic, that's great. If you would like to ship worldwide, that's also great too.
Yeah, no, good advice. I have to say yes. As a seller, I always use USPS internationally. The problem is that there is a big delay between the data entry of where the package really is versus where actually physically is. And that creates a lot of confusion for the seller and the buyer, whereas DHL has diligently maybe nailed that aspect worldwide. But again, my heart, a little is with USPS, but I do understand DHL incredible logistic, great company. Now, you did give us a little hint to us and the audience, okay, about the blog from Grail. So it's called Dry Clean Only. Can you please tell us a little more about that, please?
What the best thing to find on Dry Clean Only are the seller tips and tricks, in my humble opinion. So there are currently like the one of the best informational blog posts that we just launched a couple of days ago is our Women's Wear What to Sell Hub. And on there, you can find our in-demand designers and brands, our in-demand categories. So what we are looking for outerwear. We want boots. We want raincoats. We want anything that is fall, winter. So that's on there. All of our different really popular in-demand like listings, so you can see at the bottom of like the items that are selling really well, which is if you're new to Grail, that's a great way for you to kind of go and see if like the how other sellers photograph their items, how they describe their items, and all of that good stuff. And all of that is available on that blog post, which is a fantastic resource, especially if you're a new women's wear seller coming to Grail.
Oh, that's a great resource, and congrats on managing that, Sarah. That's blogs are such a great asset to companies to communicate, with more flexibility, whatever you need to create awareness of. And I think, helping our community with brands, picture techniques, okay, or what is desired for certain items or what is trending in a certain season, that's just crucial. It's another tool that Grail is offering our community for success.
So obviously a lot of growth and success for Grailed recently. So give us a teaser. What's next for Grailed?
Cyber Week. It is coming.
Ooh.
We've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We have some really exciting things that are happening for sellers throughout the month of November. I can't talk about all of them yet, but if somebody comes and they decide to come and cross list from List Perfectly over to Grail, they'll start to get our emails and see what is coming. And I think that like one of the most exciting things that I will talk about a little bit is that we are going to help you be successful in November. And we're going to tell you all the things that our buyers are looking for to buy for the holidays. So that's coming in a couple of weeks. And then we have some other tools that are special for November for our sellers that if a seller has started listing with us, they'll start to hear about it via email in the coming weeks.
All right, so you heard it. Go ahead, listers, start listing in Grail. But if you really want to maybe receive something special, we don't know, okay? Something is going to be announced very soon, and we promise we will announce it on all social media channels. But again, you have incredible social media channels as well. We're tiny compared to you, but we will know, for sure we'll communicate what Grail is bringing special for motivating our community, and as always, stay helping our community stay motivated. And that's crucial for us sellers, that sometimes reselling could be a lonely job, could be sometimes very monotonous, and I think that contests or sometimes a recognition of something goes a long way.
Absolutely. Totally. And I think that's, what I do love about Grailed is that we do celebrate the wins of our sellers. And, something that's really important to myself and my team is making sure that we get a new seller that comes to Grailed onboarded quickly. And, we want them to make their first sale quickly. So they start getting, we have to, make sure that they're getting the feedback, because the more feedback, as you know, the more feedback you have, the more items you're going to sell. The more items you're going to sell, the more items you can bring to Grailed. And so it is a priority of our team that if we have a new seller that is coming to us from you all, or if they naturally make their way to the platform, that we are really a resource for them in helping them to be successful. And so you know, anyone from the List Perfectly community can always reach out to us if they need anything. I think that like you said, a little recognition for resellers is always really important,
Yes.
because they are really the heart of the Grailed community. So
Oh, that's beautiful. Well said, Sarah. Thank you.
sure.
Anything to add before we go?
I will say that exciting things are, we just launched women's wear, and more exciting things to come. And if you haven't tried Grailed, I would really encourage you to try. Bring a few items over, see how we do. And there's always a resource in myself and my team, as well as Clara and Doug at List Perfectly.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Sarah, for joining us today and telling us everything we need to know about Grailed.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you, Clara and Doug, for having me. This was really fun.